Let's get corrupted. What is going on, everybody? It's your boy Joe with Meteoric Serpents coming back at you for another episode of the Colubrid Corruption podcast. What is going on, everyone? I hope you're all doing super well. I'm going to cut right to the chase before I go through my whole intro blurb. Unfortunately, our guests had to cancel on us last minute due to an unforeseen event in their snake building room, something. I guess a little bit of a sudden emergency type of deal. So, yeah, unfortunately, they cannot make the show tonight. So, if you saw the YouTube update, you guys are just hanging out with me tonight. It's a solo episode. Yeah, we could chat along. If you guys have any questions for me, anyone out there watching, if anyone wants to just have some good light banter, I'm all for that as well. But yeah, guys, welcome everyone who's here. Thank you for watching again. The support has been amazing. If you have been enjoying what's going on with this podcast, please feel free to hit the like on today's episode. Also hit the subscribe button on YouTube. We are just short of 960 now, getting closer and closer to that 1,000 mark. Yeah, just super exciting. I can't wait to get there. I just can't believe all the support you guys have given me. Just have been getting a lot of good feedback at the show. And I kept forgetting to mention, and I'm sorry, guys, all of you who came up to me at Daytona, whether I knew you beforehand or not, or like I knew your screen name, and just said, like, there were multiple people who came up to me and said, like, hey, Joe, I listened to your show. You do a really good job. Just like hearing those words absolutely made my day. Yeah, it was just really cool to meet a ton of you at Daytona. So I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to kind of say all that since then. But yeah, that was really cool of you guys. It was great to meet some of you. And overall, that was a fantastic weekend. But yeah, and speaking of that, you could also listen to this show on all the major podcasting platforms like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, I believe Google Play as well. In my opinion, I think the audio visual experience is better. But if you are listening on there on your drives to work, I don't blame you. Please feel free to give it a 5-star review and like write a nice review. That's cool. That'll help boost the algorithm. Also leave comments on the YouTube. That'll help it as well. Get this out to as many Colubrid people as you can. Share it with your friends. Tell them, you know, hey, there's this cool Colubrid show that this guy Joe does on the weekends. But yeah, no, but thank you so much, guys. The support has been amazing. I really appreciate every single one of you who's watching. And if you're watching the replay or if you're just stopping by, again, just drop a like, say what's up. And thank you for everyone who listens. Yeah, and then also you can follow me on all my social medias that are down here below. We got Instagram, Facebook, obviously YouTube. We have Morph Market. There's 16 animals I have posted on there. That's right, 16. And that's not including the ball pythons I just hatched, which some of them will be going on there once they're ready to leave. And speaking of ball pythons, I just hatched some. We'll get into that, or they're hatching. But yeah, I also made a TikTok. I forgot to add that to the little lineup down there. I did make a TikTok on Meteoric Serpents on there, kind of just reposting my stuff. 81 followers in like 6 days or a week. It's not too shabby. I posted a few of my normal reels and stuff on there. I guess people like it on TikTok. I don't know. So we'll try my hand at that. I'm a youngin. I know that's where I belong on TikTok. I actually hate TikTok for the most part. I'll find myself scrolling on there for a little bit and I'm like, I gotta get off of here. It's too addicting. But yeah, guys. Also, let's see here. Make sure you're supporting USARK Florida. I am a member of both, especially as a resident of Florida. Even if you're not a resident of Florida, you should still show your support. These are the organizations that fight for our rights to keep our reptiles as pets, prevent any bad like legislation that's going on, kind of prevent that stuff from getting passed. So make sure you're supporting that. And yeah. Also, guys, if you're looking to diversify your colubrids diet, you should go check out Blake's Exotic Feeders. That's my dog, Blake. Hand raises all the quail, super high quality. Between the budding quail and the Coturnix, I get all my stuff from him, and it's a way for me to not feed rodents all the time. I get to kind of feed my collection a diverse diet there. So it's super good. Let's see. Also, oh yeah, how could I forget? Because in a few weeks, it's finally the month of September. Colubrid Fest, guys. Colubrid Fest, the 3-day event going down in Indianapolis at the Indiana Convention Center. It's true what it says on that thumbnail. You don't want to miss out because it's going to be the biggest Colubrid event, Colubrid only event in the country. And I'm super stoked. So Dr. Loafman today officially announced all of the speakers and like the actual talks that are going on the Saturday portion. And obviously, if you guys have been listening to this show, you know I am one of those speakers. Super cool to be on that panel with the Zirkles, Rob and Amy Zirkle. That's kind of an honor, honestly. They're, kind of legends. I would call them sleepers. They're not heavy on social media. You'll find them on Facebook more than anything, but that's honestly an honor to be on a talk with them. But from giving the opposite perspective of me being a younger person, my talk again, if you didn't see my story earlier today, it's basically my perspective as or of where herpetoculture is and like the colubrid side of herpetoculture is today, coming from the perspective of a young up and comer, someone who's very excited about the hobby. I have to quote unquote kind of plan out that presentation. I don't have anything prepared quite yet, though I know I can, I do this every week, so I'm pretty sure I can come up with something fairly quickly. I'm sure it's going to be a great event. I also saw, I talk about him all the time. Matt Most is on the list of people giving a talk. That's super cool as well to be in his company. Former guest of the show, Chris Montross, is giving a talk. Kayla from Infrared Reptiles. So super cool. It's going to be a great time. The Friday, so that was all of Saturday. The Friday night is going to be a hangout, and Sunday is the Colubrid only Reptile Expo, which is going to be super cool. Yeah, it's just going to be a super cool time. I'm going to be there all weekend. I can't wait to meet a ton of you and have some fun because that's all it's going to be, honestly. So, yeah. And then last thing before Colubrid of the week, Patreon. Patreon is cool. If you go to the first link in the description of the YouTube or on the podcasting platforms, you could get the link to the Meteoric Serpents Patreon. There is where you will get a lot of behind the scenes content, kind of early access to what's going on with the podcast and everything like that. And it's also a way for you guys to show some extra support to me, your way of saying like, thanks for doing the show. Have a bunch of cool members. We chat all the time about some cool stuff. It's growing. I actually, I've been saying it, and this past week I finally buckled down and I really did record some exclusive content. I was feeding the first meal to the new hatchling ball pythons, so I was kind of showing that, and then I gave a little tour around what's in my racks and stuff like that, just showing off some of the animals. A little nice 14-minute video. Stuff no one else is really seeing. I don't give video walkthroughs of my entire collection. Although I did do that at the beginning of 2024. I did a collection overview, which I'll probably do once a year for YouTube. I think that's cool. And speaking of that, YouTube is definitely coming back. I'm gonna start making regular videos again, besides this podcast, because I enjoy the video making process. I think there's cool stuff to show. It's just a matter of me not running out of ideas super quickly. I just want to be able to give you guys a good content. I don't want to, be boring or do the same thing as everyone else. I want to be me, and I want to give you guys something good. But yeah, like I said, on Patreon, you're going to get more than that. You're going to get a little more behind the scenes, monthly Zoom calls, things like that. It's just really cool building a community of colubrid lovers, colubrid appreciators. In fact, it's quite funny. I don't think there's anyone in there that's fully dedicated to colubrids, and that includes myself because I have the ball pythons, obviously, which is really cool. I think it's just a cool space for people to learn and get all of that stuff. So yeah, and then I'm sorry I did not prepare in advance, but colubrid corruption of the week. I'm pulling it up on Instagram right now. If you'll forgive me, because my Instagram always lags when I'm doing this. Oof, there's some good posts. There's some good posts here, guys. Shoot, I had some good posts this week, but I'm just kidding. It won't ever be my own snake. I promise. I think this is Kayla's photo. Yeah, we're gonna choose Kayla's photo because that's cool. Hold on. And I'm sorry, guys. I don't see everyone. I kind of see what's, I guess, at the top, and it's not always the most recent ones. This one was from 3 weeks ago. Kayla hatched some nice Leonis. Always got to love the variability of a clutch. I mean, that's just a super cool pile of snakes. I hope you're all seeing that super well. But yeah, shout out Kayla, producing some really cool stuff. And I know she's still hatching stuff out. It seems super late to me. Maybe I'm just unfamiliar. Stuff with like Lampropeltis hatches a bit later. Maybe it's where she's at in the country, over in Cali. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, shout out Kayla. And like I said, she's going to be giving a talk at Colubrid Fest. I bet that's going to be super cool. And go check out her episode that she did on here, because that was a good episode for sure. All right, guys. So we're hanging out. Let's see who's in the chat tonight. We got Adam from Ivory Colubrid Co., one of the Patreon members. What's going on? Hope you're doing good tonight, my man. Jason Keller, what's up? It was great to meet you at Daytona. I think I said that last week, but yeah, it was cool to hang out. Solid Serpents, what's going on? Yes, and it will be great to meet you in person as well up there. I'm super excited. Elias Creative Reptiles, what's going on? Yes, let's get corrupted. And then, yes, my ball python clutches are puzzle parties. Lots of puzzles. Well, not lots, because the second clutch was a little bit disappointing, but it's cool. We're going to talk about it. Joan Fernandez, what's going on? Thanks for hanging out tonight. We got Manfredi, Morph Valley Reptiles. I know he's eyeing some of that puzzle stuff. But yeah, so that's what's up, guys. So let's talk about what's going on with me right now. So I am jam-packed with snakes, and I need to sell stuff. That's what I said. There's a lot of snakes on Morph Market between rat snakes and ball pythons. But that's cool. Those are going to come along. I know some of that stuff isn't always, the easiest sell per se, especially when we're talking ball pythons, the most populated animal on Morph Market, but that's okay. And then some rat snakes. Yeah. You guys kind of know the rat snakes that are available. I have that clutch of POS triple hets, or it's like 100% het scaleless and then POS double het. And then I hatched some of those scaleless double het leucistic aneries and one scaleless leucistic het for anery, which is cool because I hit those last year. Unfortunately, it just wasn't as big of a clutch as planned. It was supposed to be a clutch of 7. One baby came out super kinked and deformed. I did put that snake down, and then 3 did not make it out of the egg, which sucked because they all probably would have been or they were all nice scaleless snakes. But yeah, they didn't want to come out of the eggs, and it started smelling after a couple of days. I'm like, gosh, shoot, those are dead. So yeah, that sucks. These animals kick you in the balls sometimes. But that's okay. It's stuff we got to deal with. Obviously, I was not I was hoping for a better colubrid season, especially with getting the bamboo rat snakes. If you guys have been listening for a while, you'll know I got that clutch of 5 at one point quite a few months ago now, and they unfortunately just all died super quickly. They dropped one by one. I was hoping for that, and then after that kind of happened, I said, you know what? I got them from Matt. I'm pretty sure he bred them earlier in the season. Um, so I decided that it would probably be best that I just feed them right now. I don't put the pressure on them to try to breed them again. I'm going to let them recycle this winter, although they don't really brumate, but just let their bodies recycle and kick into high gear this spring. And after that one that died, unfortunately, I'm down to a 1.2 of adults. I have a second male growing up, which is never a bad thing to have. But yeah, hopefully we produce some bamboo rat snakes this year. That would be quite nice as well. And yeah, Jason, I know. I feel like this year, I mean, people are having bad luck all over the place. I don't know if it's environmental things, just stuff with our animals. Who knows? But yeah, it always sucks. But I don't have a lot of space as is. So in all honesty, I'm not too mad with where I'm at. Again, I do have to sell stuff and then my capacity will be much smaller. But yeah, so it's okay. We live and we learn. And next year, I'll be quite prepared for some bamboo rat snakes and a whole bunch of Texas. Although both the pairings I had this year, I'm not repairing again. I'm probably going to have one, maybe 2 Texas rat clutches next year. And yeah, hopefully one of 2 is a banger. The second one should be the cadmium pair, which I know Jason is interested in. I've considered over some time rehoming those animals. I don't know how interested I truly am in the project. I considered making like cadmium het for scaleless or whatever, like outcrossing with a scaleless animal and then breeding back to make some scaleless cadmiums. But I'm just not sure if I want to do that. The cadmium is cool as is. But yeah, I'm not quite sure. I'm gonna kind of sit on it for a little bit longer and decide what I may want to do with them. They've also grown. I don't want to say slow, but I feel like they're still like skinny and small. They haven't grown the way my other Texas rats have grown, which I kind of find weird. I don't know. I think I'm feeding them enough because they keep growing like lengthwise. They're long snakes, but they're not like putting that real size on. But that's all right. I also found out like earlier this season, which I find super weird and interesting at the same time. I'm quite convinced one of my Texas rats is allergic to quail. Now, hear me out. So, got this animal. It's a triple het scalocystic anery. It bred for me this year. It produced animals. It got her very skinny. She's a small snake, whatever. I'm feeding her quail to beef her back up. And then like I start noticing a pattern. And every time I was feeding her a quail, I was kind of alternating. Every time I was feeding her a quail, she was regurging. And I'm like, that's weird. And then I really noticed like she's skinny right now. And I'm like, okay, maybe I should stop feeding quail. And maybe I should have picked up on that earlier, but shit happens. And I've been feeding her mice, like something that's not too big because she's still skinny, like I'll call it a small mouse. And she takes it down fine. Like she's hungry every week. She wants to eat, but yeah, it's just super weird. Her poops are relatively normal. She was just regurging quail. So I don't know. That's super interesting. If anyone's ever heard of that, please let me know because I'd be super curious to hear about it. Yeah, I don't know. And Texas rats are known to eat birds. It's just super weird behavior that I kind of just picked up on. But every time I feed a mouse, she's okay. And she takes it down, she poops a few days later and acts normal. So now I'm just really trying to beef her back up on mice. She's definitely not breeding next year. No shot in hell. I'm not going to pair her, not going to do anything like that. And then I'm not pairing the scaleless leucistic girl either because she had a complicated batch of eggs. That was the one who, it was a repeat pairing from last year. And those eggs just weren't that great. Those were the ones that were either kinked up or died. So yeah, we're just not pairing her. We are going to give her a nice year off, and she deserves that at the ripe age of, how old is she? 6? Yeah. She bred 2 years in a row. We're going to give her a year off, and hopefully she comes back strong in 26. That would be cool. But then I do have another triple het girl that I've been beefing up, and she's getting really big, and that's going to be really cool. One of the animals I produced last year, which is a scaleless double het leucistic anery. I posted him the other day on my Instagram. Actually, let me pull him up. Because he's just too cool to not pull up. And if you guys follow me, which I hope you do at this point, you've seen this snake a dozen times. Honestly, these two siblings that I held back, they're two of the best Texas rats I've ever seen. And yes, I am very biased to that opinion, but I am quite confident in that. And if you notice there, like, you see it, it's interesting because, like, towards the top, I think the pattern is just like blotched weird. But if you really look at the black pigment of the saddles, it's a very, very deep black. And you'll see as it goes down towards the tail, and I don't think I left in enough of that clip to see it, towards the tail, there's not as much orange down there. The closer you get to his tail, there's actually a lot more black. So it kind of switches. And then it crossed to me in talking to Jake Bratz about some locality Texas rats. I think it would be cool as hell to produce an all black scaleless Texas rat snake. I think a lot of line breeding is going to have to happen to do that. And it might have to be an anery, a visual anery animal, a visual scaleless anery. But if we're able to get enough black on the snake to get rid of the, if it's an anery, the white color, or on a, on a colored animal, like all the orange or the red, I think it could be done. It might take a very long time. This might be a 10-year plus project we're talking about, but man, could you imagine if that snake is jet black? I don't think we've seen anything like that. It hasn't been done with corns yet, and there's way more morphs there. And maybe I'm sharing my ideas too quickly, so I hope no one takes that and runs with it. But Jake has some really cool locality Texas rats that have a very, very nice dark base. It's very dark. And they're cool. And he's like, yeah, when I let these go, if you don't take them, like, I'm going to be mad. I said, I probably will be mad too. So we'll see. I don't know. Down the line, that might be something I have to add. And, outcross the scaleless, I have no problem doing that. Like, outcrossing to, especially that's never bad either, outcrossing to either wild caught or locality individuals that are F1s. It's never bad to get new blood into a line of animals and then line breed from there. New blood is always super important. And I've always thought there are definitely some cool locality Texas rats. I just don't think I have the desire to, like, keep and produce locality only, if that makes sense. It's just it's not my thing. Though I do think, breeding for phenotypes, I also think that's cool. Like, if you're breeding, some of the locality animals for cool phenotypes, because like I've said, like, some of the het Texas rat snakes have some very cool het influences. Like, I have these triple het girls here that are just some wild colors that I've never really seen before. So yeah, there's some cool stuff to be done there. But I think my passion is kind of with the morphs of these guys and working more with it and trying to create things from line breeding that just have never been seen before. Um, and then to go off of that, his sister, that snake I was just showing, his sister is a smoke show as well. She's growing up super well. I think she's even a little beefier than him. I think he keeps growing long. Like if you saw that video, I feel like he looks skinny, and I hate that he looks skinny because I feed him like good sized mouse hoppers. Like he's getting mouse hoppers that are like this size, like big. And yeah, he looks skinny, so he's just growing in length, whereas she's getting a little more girth, like kind of, you're seeing that sexual dimorphism on size. So yeah, I mean that kind of makes sense to me because the males, in my opinion, get a little bit bigger. But yeah, I mean that's totally cool, and eventually I'll probably breed them together. And I know, I won't do that forever, but it's such a cool pairing that, you know why wouldn't I? But in general, I actually plan on, I think he'll be up to size this year, and that's who I plan on breeding to the triple het so I can make my own scaleless aneries. Kevin, my dude, Kevin Sheehan, well advanced in that project. He has some scaleless aneries on Morph Market right now. Just super cool animals, and obviously his animal is the one that produced all these beautiful animals I've made. So I really have to give him all the credit in the world because I would not be anywhere if it weren't for him and his animals. So yeah, for sure. Go check him out at Tinley. If you guys are attending Tinley, Kevin, you'll see Offspring Reptiles, I believe. They'll have Texas Rats. I don't know if they had a clutch. I forget if they had any of the retics. But I know Kevin has a ton of Texas Rats right now, so he'll have a table full of that at Tinley. And then yeah, so on the ball python front, so we're just chatting now. I know it's colubrid corruption, but I'm going to talk about what's going on with the ball pythons. So I hatched a really cool clutch a couple weeks ago. It was Mojave. If anyone knows ball python genetics, it was Mojave double het hypo puzzle to a het puzzle 66% het hypo female. Well, the female proved, and I did hit a double visual animal, a double recessive animal. It's a hypo puzzle female. Absolutely beautiful. So for all my colubrid lovers, if you're watching this replay, I'm bringing the snake out because you have to see it and have to understand why I like this project so much. Okay, we're going to get the camera to focus. Get a good angle. Guys, please tell me in what world the snake isn't cool between the color and the pattern. Look at that head stamp. That's the good old puzzle head stamp with the eye stripes. I mean, you look at the side pattern here. This is what puzzle does for those unfamiliar with the ball python mutations. Got a very nice example of puzzle, and also the dorsal pattern. So yes, for all my colubrid people, this project is why I like ball pythons still, honestly. And that's why I'm selling so many ball pythons right now, is because this is actually what I decided I'm pretty much going to keep my focus on when it comes to ball pythons. I'm keeping the hypo puzzle and really just working that hard because it's a project that I do like and I'm passionate about. So yeah. So hit that. I hit a couple Mojave puzzles that are possible het for hypo, which is super cool. And then I had a second clutch, same thing, same exact pairing. But the female did not, or so far did not prove het for hypo. She was 66%. I did not get a hypo. That does not mean she's not het hypo. So I am going to shed test her. because I could have just whiffed those odds really bad. It's 100% possible because that happens. So first step is shed testing mom. If she comes back negative for hypo, then I know that all the babies are 50% hypo. If she comes back positive, then the babies are 66% het because the dad was as well. So that's kind of what we're working with here. Sorry for all the, again, colubrid people who don't understand what the hell I'm talking about with ball python genetics. But this clutch also ate their first meals this week, so I am super happy about that because they hatched out relatively small. But yeah, first meals, puzzles are known to have attitude, so all of them, having those genetics, it doesn't really surprise me that they ate, but I'm happy about it anyway. Let's see some other interesting developments going on in my collection. Nothing super crazy. I do want to give a shout out and a little plug to a product I purchased. So, um, Riley, Riley's Reptiles, he was a guest on the show. He joined my Patreon and I joined his. He has a sponsor called Heli Guy Serpents, Chris Sexton, if you've ever heard of him. He creates, I believe that it's ABS plastic. It's like 3D printed perches. Um, he does all that stuff, and I looked on his website. He had some cool stuff. One with like an integrated hide box. I put that in with the rhino rat snakes. Yeah, the two rhinos. Well, I gave the big one with the hide box to the big rhino rat, and she is in that hide box 24/7 now. It's crazy. I was like, oh shoot, because I'll be honest, I had kind of bare bones with her at first because I knew I wanted to get something, but I wasn't 100% sure. So I went with that, and now it's a nice elevated perching area for her to kind of curl up on and whatever. And then there's an integrated hide box that she could go into that I filled with sphagnum moss. So it's nice and moist. They like the humidity and stuff like that. Now for the baby rhino as well as the bird eaters, I got like V18 style purchase. So it's really just an elongated thing that fits in a V18 tub with like a water dish holder for like a deli cup. And I put that in there and I see them using it too. So that's really cool. I like the products. It's nice. It was a good price as well. So yeah, super cool. Shout out to Chris. Elias, no, to be honest, I have zero desire. Like, look, just knowing how picky and weird ball pythons can be, I don't really care to try quail with them, honestly. So my deal when it comes to feeders is I am able to get frozen quail and mice from my local suppliers, which are Blake for quail and Emilio for mice. I picked those up. Those are all for the colubrids. And then on Wednesday nights, I have a rat guy that's local, and I'm able to get my live rats at a very good price as well. So overall, my feeding overhead does not feel super high in comparison to perhaps some other people, and I don't have to order stuff from like the frozen feeder companies. And just with the stuff I've heard, I don't feel like I don't want to have to do that. So I'm grateful to have local stuff from actual individual people who are breeding and raising stuff themselves. So sorry to get off topic, but with the rats, yeah, I'm able to get the rats easy. I find it easy just to feed rats to the ball pythons. Hatchlings, as they start up, I will get them going on mouse hoppers, ASF hoppers. And then once they're ready for rat pups, they will get rat pups until they're ready for weaned and so on and so forth. Essentially is what goes on with my collection. So yeah, that's just what I find easiest. With the quail, could I try it? I have some of these animals are just absolute savages. I just don't want to throw anything off where suddenly, because you guys all know the ball pythons are weird. I say it all the time, and I keep them. I genuinely think they are the weirdest species out there. Their behaviors, the way, it looks like they're breeding, it looks like they're gonna go, and then they just don't. It just makes zero sense to me, and it's not as like cut and dry like it is with other snakes, and I'm just like, what the hell? So I don't feel like complicating my life and switching up their diet. Honestly, that's just me. Could it be beneficial? I'm sure it could be. I just don't feel like complicating my life further. I am keeping and feeding and breeding many different species now, so that in itself is like, I'm just trying to track everything. And speaking of track everything, so I've had Husbandry Pro for almost a year. I signed up for it last October, and it took me until a few weeks ago to finally actually input all of my snakes information. Now, I had some snakes in there because I set it up at one point, and then I just never used it. Now I've actually set it up and have been using it and using it efficiently. And I have to say, it is honestly quite a good product, to keep yourself organized, to keep notes on your animals. Because I used to not. And now, with the size of the collection, I do want to be very detail oriented and actually know what's going on with each individual animal. And I can't do that if I'm not tracking. I hate writing on index cards and then trying to fit it in tub slots in places. I didn't want that. So having this system has actually been quite helpful. And it's as simple as pushing a few buttons to input functions and whatever. And yeah, I mean, it's as simple as that. And then, you can make notes when you clean and feed and all the different activities in there and water changes and everything like that. So yeah, I'm really enjoying that. The one thing I could not figure out, which me and my brother tried a bunch of different times. So we tried to do the label maker thing, and we could not for the life of us get it to figure out how to fit the like label paper we have, because we don't have a label maker like one of the ones they would use. We have like a label sheet that goes into a standard computer printer. And with the way it was asking for the measurements, we could not get it to fit the right way. So maybe we'll figure that out. I don't want to have to buy a label maker just for these Husbandry Pro labels, but maybe I will wind up doing that. So who knows? But that's where I'm currently at. I do have everything organized by racks, because that makes my life easier. So I know exactly where every snake is, and then I could click that like rack view button. Does he, Alex? Okay. I think I saw that when I tried looking it up. I don't know. Like, we physically understood how to do the labels. We couldn't get it to fit the sheet of paper, if that makes sense. Like, we made the labels and we hit print, and we couldn't get it to fit the sheet of paper the right way. We got stumped. But yeah, I like the system and I like how that works, and it's super easy to slap those labels on tubs and stuff. We just couldn't get it to physically fit on the paper. But yeah. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so I organize everything into the racks, so I was able to input everything, and I put each animal in their respective rack slot, and now it's made my life easier. I could do like the bulk options, especially when I'm feeding. That makes life easy, because I just like, especially like with my adult rack, that's like a 10 slot with all the colubrids in here. Boom, I hit that rack, I hit feed all, and marks every snake as fed. So that's cool. Do the same thing with water changes and whatnot. You can mark when they shed and stuff like that. So I think it's super cool. I think it's a cool product. Yeah, and I chose it because they allow you to be customizable with species and stuff. Like Texas rats weren't a species in there, but I was able to input the genetics that I have, and then it understands how like a recessive trait works, which is cool. Obviously, because it knows how to do it for other species. So you just input how the genetics work, and it's just like that. So it is quite cool. And I know some people, especially people who have been doing this for a long time, they're like, I got it in my head, and I did too, but I I am trying as a keeper to be better and take my levels up. Like obviously as me being an up and comer in reptiles, like I have to work harder to make a name for myself, especially when it comes to selling animals. So if I'm going to do that and build a reputation for myself, I want to be diligent with keeping my information and doing all of that. Plus, in doing that, when I'm breeding and stuff, it's a good way for me to keep track of my bloodlines and everything like that. I've said it all the time. I really respect what the Morelia breeders do, especially chondro breeders. All of their pairings are literal public information. Like they all know these chondros' names. Like no other reptile community, like species community in the reptile hobby, like has that. So I honestly really admire that, and I doubt I'm gonna be the one to say, hey, let's do it for this species. It's just not gonna happen. But being able to keep track of my lineages is really cool because obviously I want to know where my stuff's coming from. And as I have further generations, other people are going to want to know where my stuff came from if they're kind of nerdy like me. Because there's a lot of nerdy colubrid people and lineages are important. So, yeah, that's my thing as well, is I could always, keep track of lineage. Sorry, guys, solo. I have to break the silence. I have to create silence myself to drink water. There's obviously some niche things I'm still figuring out with Husbandry Pro. I'm no quote unquote pro with it, but I've learned how to do bulk activities, and that has helped like a ton. I haven't uploaded pictures for every animal. I just organize them in their respective rack slots, and that's good enough for me. And like my ID numbers are easy. I make it easy for myself to find my own animals, like when I'm searching and stuff. So yeah, it's cool. But yeah, let's see what else is going on. Is there anything you guys want to talk about? If you have any questions for me, I am more than happy to answer. Let's see if I could think of something right now. Oh yeah, I talked about it already. The Colubrid Fest panels, I mean, are going to be amazing. I'm seeing more and more vendors sign up for Colubrid Fest. Now, if you've made it this far in the episode, there is still a small chance that I may vend. I can't say for sure right now because it's dependent on another person and like traveling with them because that person is semi-local to me. So when that news officially breaks, if it happens, I will let you guys know. You'll be the first ones to know. Tommy, it's in Indianapolis. Colubrid Fest is. So yeah, long drive from Florida. But yeah, the only way I'm really vending is if I'm driving and I'm not driving by myself. So yeah, but there's again a chance, and it's with someone that lives in my vicinity, within a couple hours vicinity. Joan, the rhinos are doing fantastic. I was just talking about them before actually. I had integrated some perching in their tub systems that they seem to really like, which is really cool. The baby, the yearling from last year, that male is doing super well. I feel like he's growing like an absolute weed. Every single meal, he's growing a little bit more, and I'm seeing that growth. And every time I hold him, I'm like, oh damn, this guy is growing bigger. So it's super cool. And then I think I'm getting like pleasantly surprised by the female because I'm feeding her like, I don't want to say big meals, but they're decent sized meal. Like she's getting small mice and the like day old Caternix quail. So nothing crazy. And I think she's grown since I got her, but I think I'm gonna wind up being pleasantly surprised by how small they actually stay, if that makes sense. I'd love to put them in caging one day. I've said that a bunch of times with like nice natural lighting and plants and stuff like that. Um, but right now they are doing super, super well. The boys, now he just shed last week, and I was hoping to see some green on him because I've been waiting for that for a while. And funny enough, I didn't right away, but I feel like as the days went on this week, I felt like he looked a little more green. And maybe I'm tripping. Um, I don't know, but I felt like I saw the little twinge of green in there, which is cool. I'm waiting for a dramatic piece of green. That I'm gonna be excited, but he is nice, Joan. Yeah, lone female from 22. Yeah, so the older female I got is a 21 girl, that I got from someone, and then the male I have is a 23. So yeah, but yeah. So the rhinos are a species I'm really excited about. You guys know that they've been a dream snake of mine for years, and it took forever to pull that trigger. I've talked about it a bunch of times, but I am so glad I did, and I'm so glad Billy Hunt convinced me that oh shit, I just made it worse. I'm so glad Billy Hunt convinced me that I could keep them in my house. Good. Guys, I'm super sorry. Hold on. I'm turning off the camera for a moment. It was all like fuzzy looking. Is that better or worse? I think it got worse. Hold on. It's Florida. It's humid. The camera's not cooperating. All right, now that's better. And the paper towel flew off my desk. That's great. No, can't do that. It's moist and it's humid in here. That's why it like fogged up. So I had to wipe it. Um, but yeah, so in terms of projects, let's talk about future stuff. What's going on here? Obviously, now I'm keeping quite a few different species. Like we just talked about, the rhinos are part of that future plan. I'm definitely not planning on pairing that male for. I know it's going to take a few years, and I know they could be aggressive breeders, so definitely not until he's nearing the size of the female. I'm going to be quite careful about that. So that might be a waiting game, but I'm okay with that. I'm okay with admiring that species. Victoria, my favorite. That's such a tough pick. That's a tough pick. Mm, is it corny if I say it's not though? I don't think she is. My OG snake that I still have from when I was 10 years old. I don't know if she's my favorite. She's up there for sure. Um, yeah, because she's what started it all. I still have her. Hold on, I'll grab her. Oh, is she gonna bite me? Please don't do that. She just had a fresh shed. Nice and cool. So this is the snake I've had since I'm 10 years old. And yes, if you're seeing her and you're wondering why she kind of fits in my hand like this, so yes, my first ever animal. This is Crash, my OG Texas rat snake. Now, she has laid clutches for me in the past. I don't breed her anymore. I actually have attempted, but I kind of stopped. I just don't think she's gonna breed. Um, and her growth is definitely a little stunted. I mean, again, I was a little kid when I got her, taking care of her. Like obviously my dad was helping out with that, so I just don't think we fed her properly. But she's a nice bulky size now. Um, And yeah, she's just living out her days here, and she'll be here till she passes. That'll be a sad day. That'll be a sad day. Um, you know, I lost a couple snakes this year, unfortunately. That's the first time I've really had to deal with that. And by lose, I mean they died. The snake in the thumbnail, actually, real unfortunate. Here, the one I'm holding in this photo, um, yeah, that was my first scaleless Texas rat. He passed away, unfortunately, as did my original bamboo rat snake. That was only a, what was she, a 4-year-old snake. So, yeah, I mean, Crash is now, what is she? You know what I'm noticing now? I always notice, I think she had some, like, I don't know if she developed kinks over time or something kind of weird, but I'm noticing more towards the top of her spine, and that kind of makes me nervous. I don't know. She may not last forever, but she's a cool snake nonetheless. She's what started this hobby for me. Um, what is she? She was born in 2010, and it's 2024. She's 14. We probably just passed her 14th birthday. So yeah, that's what's up. Um, yeah. Now, solid serpents. I currently do not have anything in any large enclosures. So let me go put her back, and I'll explain. So I've talked about this a few times. So I used to keep, back when I lived in New York, and it was, I would say, smaller space there. The snakes were all in my room in glass tanks. And I had 5 snakes when we left and moved to Florida. That was in 2021. Um, then I convinced my dad that I needed a rack system because it's gonna conserve the space more, which it did. It allowed me to fit. I actually, my bedroom size downgraded when I moved to Florida, and you would think it's the opposite, but it actually wasn't. I had a pretty nice sized room in Queens. But yeah, I basically needed a rack to fit the snakes in there. Um, and then that's how I expanded. And then we eventually moved the whole collection to the garage. So yeah, we're fully rack keeping right now, but I definitely have plans to move some of the arboreal slash semi arboreal animals into enclosures in the future. I'd love to do that. It's just a matter of me being in my own place. Literally, like when I move out of the house, that'll, sorry, my hat just hit the mic. That'll hopefully be the plan. Um, and plus, caging is not that I can't afford it. I probably could. Caging is definitely expensive, so I'll have to budget for that for that purchase. And yeah, I definitely want to get something nice, good lighting, all that, and really, really deck it out for some of these animals. But the rhinos, the bird eaters, are on that list to get an enclosure. So that's kind of where that's at. And I know not everyone agrees with full rack keeping and would probably say, I don't know, the extremists would probably say I'm abusive to my rhino rats. Okay, you could have that opinion. My snakes eat, they do well. My Texas rats breed, they do well. So it is what it is. But obviously that's not the forever plan. It really isn't. And I really like what people do with caging. I'd love to keep more species in caging. It's a matter of space and cost. It's so easy to keep in racks. Um, yeah, yeah, the dubia enclosures. Okay, yeah, I might have to look into those. Maybe for some rat snakes. But yeah, I mean, with the way I'm keeping rat snakes, especially breeding them and all the babies they produce, rat keeping is especially easy for hatchlings and into yearling and 2-year olds. You can get so much life out of a rack system and so much space conserving, because they're just such small animals, and they'll grow fast for you if you feed them the right way. But yeah, um I'm sorry, I think I went off topic. Just in terms of future projects, I think I started there. So like I kind of mentioned, I'll just get the ball pythons out of the way. Like I had kind of mentioned, that hypo puzzle project is where I'm fully at on those, and that's really why I'm selling most of that collection. Why I have a bunch of ball pythons for sale right now. I went in wanting to do some other stuff, and then especially doing this podcast and talking to all these awesome people about what species they're keeping and all that. It just made me very inspired, and it made me realize that maybe I was part of that ball python hype community that was, you know, pushing to try to make money a little bit. And I don't want this to be about that. I want to enjoy it. I want to enjoy the animals I'm producing. And I really think the hypo puzzles are really cool. I think all puzzles are cool. In that second clutch, there's even just a normal puzzle, and the pattern is just so cool. And I can't wait for it to come out of the egg. Um, yeah, I mean that's what it's about. And I've told other ball python people this, like my buddy Brock. He joined the Patreon because he's getting corrupted right now. And Brock, if you're listening to this, you know I told him, and he knows it too. He wants to get into all these other colubrid species. I was like, look, man, start cutting out the ball pythons that you don't really care about, because like we know that there's snakes that like we're not as passionate about. And if you can't open their rack and be happy with the animal that's in there, you shouldn't have that animal. You shouldn't have that animal. You shouldn't even breed it, even if it's going to make you something. I won't say that, because if you're, if the goal is what you're trying to produce by breeding it, then that's okay. Because I have the normal double hets I just talked about that produced these very cool animals. Those were essential to make them. So yeah, that's no problem. But if you're opening a tub, a cage, and there's an animal that you just like don't enjoy looking at, or it doesn't make you excited, sell that animal, man, because that's not the right one to have. I open every tub in here, and I'm excited. Out of the animals I keep, and well, I should say some of them just weren't doing it for me, and that's why they're for sale. Some of them weren't doing it for me. The projects weren't doing it for me. I just was like, I don't care about it as much anymore. And I know I got into a lot of the ball pythons within the past couple of years, but opinions change, and I'm proud to say I was able to realize that, and not just like breed animals just for the hell of it. Because I could have made more clutches this year, and I chose not to. I bred 3 females. I only got 2 clutches, but I could have done more. But then I would have made a bunch of snakes that would have been harder to sell. Ones I wouldn't have used for going forward. It wouldn't have helped me. And you know what? I sell them for a couple $100 a piece, but I don't care about that. They weren't snakes I wanted to make. So that's what I did. On the other hand, with the colubrids, I'm way more excited about these. I have project goals. I have ideas. What I told you guys before, all black scaleless Texas rat snake would be sick. So there's ideas, there's a concrete plan, and there's something to do. There's always something to push. There was a term I was going to use, and then I lost it. So you got to just, you got to find what you like, find that lane, and just run with it. And like I said, if an animal is not making you happy, then you should really consider if you should have that animal anymore. And that's what I decided with a bunch of these, and that's why I'm doing that. And no, I want to make it clear, I'm not neglecting the animals I have for sale in any way. I enjoy keeping them. And and I don't mind having to pay to feed them every week. I promise. There are some people who are like that who do care. I'm feeding them well. They're doing well, and they'll stay here as long as they have to. But yeah, so that's where I'm at. Definitely transitioning to a lot more colubrids and kind of just limiting the ball pythons to the hypo puzzle stuff. And then yeah, I mean, there's so many species within colubrids that I've been talking about for such a long time. And if you're in any group chat with me, you'll hear me say, "Oh, that's real tempting," and I'll say that a whole lot. And really, I sound like these morph market window shoppers that hit my messages every day. Except I don't actually inquire on these snakes. I just say, "Hey, that's cool." Um, Sorry, shitty joke about tire kickers. Um, but yeah, so there's a bunch of species I want to try. Getting back into cow kings was super cool. I enjoy them. Cool to make little pets and work with some lineage stuff and play with phenotypes and things like that. Bird eaters are gonna be super fun to see how those honeycombs turn. Super cool animal. Even the bamboo rat snakes, you get the same looking snake every time, but they're just so cool. I want to see those baby bamboo rat snakes coming out of eggs so bad. You guys have no idea. And then I have like the Guangxi Volanti, super cool animals too. I want to see those coming out of eggs at some point. Um, the red Texas rat. So actually, I'm going to talk about this one. I'm going to pull it out. Can you chill? She does not want to chill. Sorry. This here, and she's musking all over me. That's fantastic. This here is the old red Texas rat snake. Now, with that said, this is a project I'm excited about. Um, Hope you all can see this in this very cool reddish pinkish color with some yellow on it. So after seeing some snakes in the Texas rat group, um, I have to ask the guy about this. So apparently there's like a long lost kind of hypomorph that I think only a couple people are working with, and this wasn't sold to me as a hypo. But if we're looking at what the definition of hypo is, um, I dare to say this is a hypo Texas rat snake. I don't know if you all agree with me. And hold on, I'm putting it up to the camera for you to see. I'm not seeing any black pigment. So if I had to call this snake anything, if I had to call it a morph, I would call it hypomelanistic. And it looks similar to snakes that I've seen pictures of that have been called hypos. So maybe it's just not red at all. And like, I think it is a line bred thing, but maybe it's a hypo. Now, this is where it gets interesting. In a couple years, when this girl's ready to breed, she's going straight to that scaleless boy we showed on video before. Because he's super orange, super red, and I want to make hets that have the most red possible. And line breeding should say a red animal to a red animal should make more reds. But if this is a recessive hypo, then I'll be proven wrong, and they'll just be nice hets. probably nice looking double heads. So we'll find out. And you'll even see, hold on. Let's see if I can get that up there. You see the little eye ring. I don't know what else to call it. Like not her pupil. It's that kind of very light orangey brown. That's a good shot. You guys see that color? All that like pink and orange. That's what I like. So yeah. I don't know. So it'll take some time, but we will figure it out. It'll be cool. And now I have Coco all over because she had to grab some when I scooped her up. I think the snakes just get pissed when you try to take them out in the dark because I don't know if you guys know, I keep the room fully dark except the spotlight that's pointing at me. So, yeah. But yeah, guys, let's see what else is going on. So yeah, next year in terms of breeding, yeah, so I keep them on like it's called the chipper. I use that product. Um I like it a lot. So when I moved down here, I was using Cypress a lot and I was still buying that. And as I got more animals, I was able to try a like the coconut husk substrate. I forget which brand. I don't know if it was like Freedom Breeder brand or some other stuff. But then I was able to get in because some local people were distributing my homie Emilio. He was distributing the chipper, which is the cocoa chip brand. Yeah, I use it for all my colubrids. It's great for holding humidity. Like I don't wet it like some other people do because it's so humid here in Florida. But I think it's a great substrate. Though Emilio is not going to be distributing it anymore, so I might go back to Cypress. I'm not sure. John, to answer your question, I am from New York. I'm from Queens, but I live in Boca Raton, Florida. But yeah, originally from Queens, and thank you for the compliment. Yeah, I did see you like on Facebook, so thank you for that. But yeah, so yeah, I really like the cocoa husk substrate. I just think it's good. Sometimes it gets messy when it gets too humid. It's a little annoying, especially tubs like V18 tubs. I find myself changing those so often. Now, when we're talking about the bigger snakes, it's you're spot cleaning obviously, but you don't have to change as often. But the V18 tubs get mucky very quickly. Uh, I didn't have my nice colubrid collection until I left New York. Funny enough, yeah, most of what I have has been built over the last like 3 years or so since moving to Florida. Um, but yeah, my roots are all New York. That's where I started. I worked at a pet store in Queens for a while. I talk about that all the time. You guys are probably sick of hearing that from me. Uh, but yeah, that's where my whole reptile roots came about. Um, but yeah, and then I see you guys talking about Cypress. I definitely don't mind Cypress. I used to use it. I used to use like the Zoomed forest floor product. Um, that's just an expensive product. I didn't really know you could buy it from Lowe's, like just straight cypress that wasn't like treated or whatever, some weird form of potting soil. Like I didn't know you could get it like that in bulk because I know what you guys are getting. But yeah, maybe I'll look into it. I just stocked up on some more cocoa, so I have a good supply for a while, but I know it's not gonna last for $3.99. For how big of a bag? That's crazy. That's low. That's cheap. That's cool. Damn. All right. Maybe I'll have to look into that. It's a big bag though, right? I don't know. Sorry. Water sip break. Yeah, what else is there to Yeah, it's a big bag. All right. Well, I'll definitely look into that. And again, I know I won't be able to get the cocoa forever, so I'm gonna have to find a new solution eventually. And it'll probably be that. There are some other products I like. Some of the colubrids can definitely take aspen. I don't like aspen for ball pythons. I think it's weird. Oh, okay. Interesting. Coconut mulch, seasonal at Costco. I think my parents have a Costco membership. I usually hit up BJ's for my bit of grocery shopping. Cheapest place to get meat. I eat a lot of ground beef, so that's where I go. But yeah, okay, that's good to know too. All right. Um, let's see, guys. Is that kind of it for tonight? Any last minute things? We've been going for an hour 10. I'm actually surprised I was able to keep you guys engaged this long, but I appreciate you guys hanging with me as always. Hope people listen to the recording. All right. I'll let you guys type for a few extra seconds. Oh, if you are listening this long, I will say just a little hint. I don't know how much I should say because I was going to keep it under wraps till it was officially announced. Might have to keep you guys on a cliffhanger. Well, let's just say I was. What's my pairing plans? That's not a bad one. It's really not a huge amount. Dude, they're doing good. They're doing good. They're eating. I finally got both of them to eat drop fed budding quail. The male is the shy one. But he is now eating drop fed budding quail, which is great. Or maybe it was luck. I don't know. It took him over like 12 hours to eat it sitting in a deli cup. So I don't know. In terms of pairings for this year, we have at least one Texas rat pairing. It might not be more than that, to be honest. It's going to be one, maybe two. Yeah, it's going to be the scaleless double het anery from last year to the triple het scaleless leucistic anery. Try to hit some scaleless aneries in there. A whole bunch of scaleless. I just want to produce some nice scaleless animals. Can I have a whole clutch of like straight scaleless? I'll be completely honest. The scaleless leucistics are valuable, but I want to avoid making them as much as possible. They're not doing it for me. They're a tough sell. They're obviously a little bit harder to make. I don't want to hit people over the head with the cost, but it's also a semi-rarer animal, and mine are also het anery. Like no one has those except me, so it makes it hard to price out those snakes. I think a couple of them I sold a little too cheap in the past year. Honestly, just for those genetics, but I don't know. It is what it is. I want to make some nice scaleless aneries. That would be ideal. Hit my own scaleless anery to hold back. And then I have the cadmium pairing should be ready. Now, if I pair them is the question. Maybe I will produce some nice cadmiums. We'll see. And then also the bamboo rat snakes. I have the 1.2 that should be up and ready to go. And that's the plan. Get some clutches out of those guys. Now I know they could like triple clutch basically, so I don't know. I could have anywhere from 10 to 30 eggs. That would be fun. my girlfriend won't like the sound of that, but yeah, 10 to 30 little baby bamboos. I think that'll be a challenge for sure. Um, yeah, in terms of colubrid pairings, that's really it. I wish I had more, but a lot of stuff's growing up. And like I had mentioned earlier, I'm giving a couple girls the year off. So, yeah. Um, let's see. Oh yeah, I was kind of saying it before. I don't know. I'm working on something that I think is going to, well, one, it benefits me and doing this podcast, and it's also something for you guys that I'm working on. Um so yeah, I'm not going to say much more than that. You guys are going to be left hanging on that cliff, and you're going to have to wait a few weeks. And maybe if the plans develop quicker than expected, maybe it's something I could show off at Colubrid Fest, but I really don't know. I don't know. But yeah, guys, it's been an hour 16. Yeah, I think I'm gonna call it here. It's been a blast hanging and chatting with you guys. I appreciate you guys coming out. Again, I know it sucks. It obviously sucks for me that tonight's guest could not make it last minute. Always throws a wrench for me. Into the equation. Obviously, I spend a good amount as trying to figure things out and prepare and come up with a nice outline. So, I'm always working hard to give you guys the best content possible. And I know you guys were looking forward to this one because dry marking is something a lot of people are getting into, as well as they work with some other really cool species. But I hope everything on their end is okay. Hopefully we could get them on for another try. That would be cool. But yeah, guys, I'll leave you off. If you guys enjoyed this episode, this was episode number 37 of the Colubrid Corruption podcast. It was a Sunday solo hanging out with the chat. If you guys are listening on your drive to work during the week, consider tuning in on Sunday nights. Even when we have guests, I let the chat interact sometimes. I've also forgotten to say I do have super chats on now. If you want to throw a super chat, you always can feel free to. But honestly, I'd rather you join the Patreon and learn some stuff about colubrids than throw a super chat. That's just my opinion. But yeah, and then make sure you follow me on all social media. Go check out Instagram, Facebook, Morph Market. TikTok as well. Again, it's not on that little bar down there, but I do have a TikTok account. Patreon, like I said, join Patreon. Check that out. Lots of cool people, lots of cool stuff. Hit the subscribe button on YouTube. Again, guys, chasing that 1,000. Let's go. Hit the like on today's video, today's podcast. More YouTube content is coming, I promise, especially with Colubrid Fest. I'm going to take a shit ton of content at that place. I told Clint already, I'm gonna be the personal cameraman and I'm the attendee. Basically, as long as they let me. I don't know about the talks. I don't know if they'll want me recording it. Maybe I'll record my talk at least and put it somewhere. But I don't know if they'll want me recording everyone, so I probably won't, or I'll take small snippets. But yeah, guys, we will be back next week. Next week, I'll be back. The week after will be a pre-recorded episode because I'll be gone for the weekend. And then another live episode. I have the episode for the 22nd is planned already. And then Colubrid Fest weekend, there's probably going to be nothing there. Just between preparation, me going, it's probably going to be nothing that weekend. We're probably skipping that. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Again, this was episode number 37 of the Colubrid Corruption podcast. I hope you all have a great rest of your night and whenever you're listening to this. Peace out.